Jared Vanderbilt gets a concerning injury in regards to his update and his potential return from his knee situation. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, the Lakers are in trade speculation for both Jonas Valanciunas and Kyle Kuzma. We're talking about the teams that also are rumored around those players as well. And we're going to get into the NBA Cup scenarios on the last day of NBA Cup group play. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Show on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. We just got this update here coming down, this one from Shams in regards to Jared Vanderbilt, who just he's experiencing fluid in his left knee in his rehab process from the offseason procedures that he had to both feet, and he's targeting an early January return for his return date. And Jared Vanderbilt is a player that really could help what the Los Angeles Lakers need right now. And another versatile defender, some more depth there, which is really concerning for that team. And you look at it, before he went down with injury, Jared Vanderbilt was playing some of his best basketball. 10.5 points on 66% shooting, 5.5 rebounds, 2.3 steals. And that's what he did in the last 8 games, from mid-January until he got injured February 1st against the Celtics last year. And so in that time, like the Lakers just have they don't really have anybody to replace where Jared Vanderbilt is as a versatile defender for that team. And when you look at it, since signing his 4-year, $48 million contract extension, what looked like a steal at that time and could very well still be a steal when it comes down to it, he's only played in 29 out of 104 possible games. That includes the regular season, in-season tournament, play-in tournament, and playoffs for this Los Angeles Lakers team. And we know that the Lakers have depth issues. That's something that's been there. It's been evidence for this Lakers team. That's why you hear the Lakers and the rumors out in the trade market. And so if you're able to bring back Jared Vanderbilt and the defense that he could provide and help this team with, it really can help this team a lot. JJ Redick, who's really kind of figured out rotations on the fly as you can go, somebody versatile like Jared Vanderbilt who can still open up or hit an open shot, can really help open up some things for this Lakers team. In no way is he a solvent or a fix for everything that's going on with the Lakers right now. There's not that, but the Lakers, they're trying to figure out some things, right? There's been talk about, from JJ Redick and, if you even would want to play LeBron James all 82 games. And that's why, the passing of the torch happened for Anthony Davis there. When you look at JJ Redick really kind of giving the keys in a lot of ways for Anthony Davis, it was to help, preserve LeBron James. Yes, LeBron could probably still play 82 games when it comes down to it, but what is the quality of those games you're going to get from LeBron? And that's not to knock LeBron. What LeBron is doing right now at his age and is able to do it, even with it sometimes being inconsistent, you got to look at it like it's been great. LeBron is still great for what he's able to do. Like a down season, which people are labeling this for LeBron James, is still an all-star caliber season, right, when it comes down to it. But it's clear that LeBron James has taken a bit of a step back, needed at times. And you look at what AD's been able to do. He's upped his offensive production. He's upped his three-point shooting. All that's happening. He's grabbing 11 rebounds per game. But he's even said, hey, I would like if the Lakers can get another center to help him. Like, it also helps him defensively to not have to guard those guys. It helps preserves Anthony Davis as well. These guys are starting to get beat up already, 21 games into the season. You need some depth. And Jared Vanderbilt can help with that to a degree. But also, it brings us to our next topic in regards to the Lakers and trade rumors that they find themselves in right now. So it does seem like when you as far as Jonas Valanciunas, that a deal came available or rumored is that they're dangling Gabe Vincent as well as future second-round picks to try to get Jonas Valanciunas from the Washington Wizards. And this is a deal when you look at Valanciunas and what he's done. He's been a solid reserve player for that Washington Wizards team. He's a guy that does have a really good motor. Does he fix everything for the Lakers? No, I won't say that he does, but he is a player that can help with some of the depth issues that the Lakers have. And the question is would the Wizards even be able to take that back? They really have Gabe Vincent. They have those 2 future second-round picks that they can get involved there. And Jonas Valanciunas, for what it's worth, and with his role being lessened, he's only started 3 games for that Washington Wizards team. He's still putting up 12 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 58% shooting from the field while only playing 20 minutes per game. as well. And he's chipping things in that you can see this team needing and needing help with for the Lakers team. But I think the more intriguing prospect, and this was pushed forward by the host of Locked On Wizards, if you guys want to check that out, talked about maybe the Lakers pursuing and making a move for both Valanciunas and Kyle Kuzma, who's getting a lot of interest out in the trade market as well. And I'll say this, if the Lakers are able to swing a move to get Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas to this, and you add Jared Vanderbilt back after he returns from his injury, that's the series of moves, right? And the Lakers, while I've been big on the Lakers not necessarily pursuing a star-level player, right? Not giving up a whole lot to pursue a star-level player, when you look at the Wizards aren't going to be good anytime soon, right? They have some intriguing young pieces there, but they're not a team that's going to turn it around. Pushing out those first-round picks that the Lakers have in 2029, 2031 to offer, even if they want to put some heavy protections on the 31 pick or whatever it is, that's something that the Wizards could very well be enticed to get when it comes down to Kyle Kuzma and it comes down to Jonas Valanciunas. And that's also the type of move that I can see Rob Pelinka making at the trade deadline. Now, how you get the money to work out is how you get the money to work out. That's what the Lakers would have to try to figure out there. But if the Lakers are able to work out that money, if they're able to find a way to make that work to where you're bringing in Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas, who Kyle Kuzma makes $23 million per year. Jonas Valanciunas is at $29 million per year. So you're looking at you have to match $33 million. Let's just round it up to $34 million what the Lakers have to match with that. The Lakers have the contract that you can get there. D'Angelo Russell, $18 million, gets you part of the way there. Gabe Vincent, $11 million. That gets you right there at close to $30 million right there. So the Lakers could theoretically put together a package that could be that with the draft picks and what they have. And if the Lakers were to pursue Kyle Kuzma, get Jonas Valanciunas, and on top of that, Jared Vanderbilt is able to come back and stay healthy for the remainder of the season after he returns in January, that could be a series of moves that can help the Lakers in whatever push they're trying to do. I don't think it really still makes them championship contenders, in my opinion, but it's the type of move that I can see the Lakers get involved in and making if the price is right, if they look at that price being right for those two players. So the Lakers, listen, I feel like the Lakers are going to make a move here. I feel like between now and the trade deadline, the Lakers are going to do something. And that just kind of is what it's shaped up to be this season. It's kind of always what it's pointed to. Of course, you have options of Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine that are out there as well with those type of things and moves and conversations. But the Lakers have the ability to make a move. And I think the Kyle Kuzma, Jonas Valanciunas move could make some sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. It isn't a solvent to fix everything, but you look at what you're bringing in with Kyle Kuzma, what he can do scoring-wise, rebounding-wise, things like that, Valanciunas, and what he can do with playing next to Anthony Davis or spelling for a few minutes, whatever it takes, and you're getting defensive versatility back in Jared Vanderbilt. You're keeping Connect, you're keeping Austin Reeves in that case. That is a move that I can see the Lakers making, and I compare it similar, not in player caliber, but similar to last year with the Dallas Mavericks, going out and getting the players that they got, making moves for Derek Lively and bringing in, Gafford and making those type of moves. It's helped, right? And so that's something that as well that we could see the Los Angeles Lakers do, and I think it can make some sense. But there's a lot of talk right now around Kyle Kuzma in general. This one coming from Siegel says, Kuzma has been on the trade block for quite some time. It appears to be inevitable that the Wizards will look to move on from Kuzma, especially since he's on a very team-friendly contract during the 2024-25 season. The soon-to-be 29-year-old will be making $23.5 million the second year of a 4-year, $90 million deal that decreases roughly $2 million each season. This is a contract that is very appealing to playoff contending teams, especially those who do not have room to pursue all-star level talents due to first and second tax apron limitations. When you look at other teams that have been rumored to be interested in monitoring the situation that goes on with Kyle Kuzma, you got the Milwaukee Bucks, the Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers have all been mentioned when it comes down to it. And I think you also have seen Kyle Kuzma grow as a leader as well with that young Washington Wizards team. So if any of those teams, and I think he can help all those teams in all different areas, right? Look at the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, we know that the Golden State Warriors are looking to bring in players that are win-now players, potentially around Steph Curry to take advantage of even Draymond playing well, things like that. It makes some sense there. They have contracts and young players that they can move in a case like that. We just talked about the Lakers. The Miami Heat, it's going to be interesting to watch what the Miami Heat do, especially when we get into the next conversation that we're going to talk about it eventually with Jimmy Butler and teams monitoring the Jimmy Butler situation of it all. But the Miami Heat, if they were to make a move like that, it'd be interesting for a few situations because then at that point, are you keeping Jimmy? Are you doing this to add a Kyle Kuzma to a Tyler Hero and to a Bam Adebayo for those type of things? Like what's going on there in Miami is a huge question that a lot of people are asking themselves. And I don't think it's one we're necessarily going to have a surefire answer to yet, but there are a lot of teams watching and monitoring what happens with the Heat. But a Kyle Kuzma move for the Heat would make some sense, but also bring about more questions. But make no mistake about it, Kyle Kuzma is one of the players here that could be coveted and pursued by teams as the trade deadline pursues. And with them saying that it seems like a foregone conclusion that Kyle Kuzma is going to be moved. We'll see what happens with that. But to get into the Jimmy Butler situation, right? We did hear, and this came out earlier today, that the Rockets and the Mavericks have quietly been intriguing around what's going on with Jimmy Butler. And I think there are going to be a lot of teams that are looking around what's happening with Jimmy Butler, especially considering the Heat have been reluctant to give him that contract extension that he wants and things like that. He has he's in the final year of his deal. On top of that, he does have a player option for 2025-26 worth $52 million. In the Los Angeles, this comes from Mike Scioto, but the Miami Heat could be looking to move him. And then he says this: within league circles, there's been a quiet discord about whether the Houston Rockets or Dallas Mavericks will eventually land Butler. A Texas native, should he and Miami decide to part ways. For now, however, the Rockets are among the top teams with a young core, and the Mavericks remain a contender in the tightly competitive Western Conference. It's also worth noting executives who've checked in on Butler got the impression that Miami wants to figure out their star's future after this season. So, throwing some doubt on if even Jimmy Butler is moved during this season. But if he is, there are teams that are going to be interested. And really, honestly, if we're talking about it, those same teams, as long as he opts into his contract, could become interested at the end of the season as well. It really comes down to what Jimmy and the Miami Heat decide to do if they come to a crossroads, right? And it will take Jimmy Butler probably talking to Pat Riley and saying, listen, I'm not going to re-sign here. You guys might as well move me. Get what you can back. Does Jimmy Butler do that? I don't know if that's the case, but I do think it's going to take that type of thing to get Jimmy Butler out of Miami because, listen, Miami is in no rush, right? They're in no rush. They're still trying to figure out the changes to their offense. And in a weak Eastern Conference, they are maybe, or could look at it, that they're a Kyle Kuzma, even though I disagree with the weak Eastern Conference. I don't know why I said that. I just think it's a lot of parity in the East. But that they could absolutely look to move on from a player like Jimmy Butler to see what they can get out in the open market for him. And we'll see what happens there. Or in a weak Eastern Conference, I think was the point I was about to make, that they could look at a Kyle Kuzma trade and then say, hey, this is enough, right? If things click and, Spoelstra, we trust Spoelstra to coach the hell out of this team, that then maybe they can make some move and be another team, another run, that they go on another surprising run in that Eastern Conference. So there's a lot of things around that. But Houston is an intriguing team to watch anyway, right? There's constant talk back and forth on what the Houston Rockets want to do with their young core. We got it reported about a week ago that the owner wants to keep this young core and see it develop, whereas Ime Udoka is kind of more aligned with trading some of these pieces to get a surefire star. And that's just depending on how you look in the NBA. Typically in the NBA, you need a star to win the champion, to really be a championship contender. Now, the Houston Rockets are a team that this is really their first year, right? And while their defense is legit, while I love so much of this young roster, that, typically you want to really see what you can get in the playoff run. That first playoff run for a team really tells a lot about how far they are. Does a player really step up in that playoff run? Do they start looking like a superstar and then build off on that in the next season? But the Rockets sit in a place where they have a lot of intriguing assets that they can use out in the trade market if they want to move off from some of these pieces. They have a lot of good young pieces that all can play multiple positions. So even if they were to move off of some of them, some other guys can really step into that. Şengün is looking really good for this team. He continues to just show the force that he is. Amen Thompson and Tari Eason look like they can be future all-star level players when it comes down to it, and their defense on the wings has been a really good fit next to Şengün. So you have those type of things. It really would come down to Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, in my opinion, on players that the Rockets could look to trade and should look to trade if they do. And that's the question when it comes down to it. Jalen Green, another player who is a really big member of the Houston Rockets and their young core. You really can't take away from that. But when you look at it, if any player, like, yes, Jalen Green signed his contract extension, those type of things, but he can get a lot back, especially if any of these stars come in. And I want to be clear here. If the Rockets are to make a move, it is going to be, in my opinion, for one of the stars that reportedly could come available, right? Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker. Of course, if Giannis Antetokounmpo ever does become available, there's still some doubt around that, right? Have your doubt there. Could they make a move for that, right? There's a lot of things when it comes down to it. And Jalen Green and Jabari Smith would instantly become two of the best candidates for a team that's moving on from a star and want some young, promising talent back. They really are the best case for that. Jalen Green is shown a lot, right? A lot of potential. Some of that has not always worked out the best. He still has some mistakes and things that you expect a young player to make. But if the Houston Rockets were to ever really want to pursue a star, Jalen Green is really the thing. If you can get a team that believes in Jalen Green and his potential, and then also go to a team that's ready to take him off the leash, to really turn the keys over to him, Jalen Green can produce. There's no doubt about that. Now, he's not shooting overly effectively this year, 39% from the field right now, taking 16 shots. That's a far cry from the 42% he shot last year and even how he ended the season last year. But, overall, I think that Jalen Green is a very intriguing player for a lot of teams, and it just comes down to what and who is available. Then you look at Jabari Smith Jr. as well. Like, Jabari Smith is another player that, he was looked at as one of the surefire, prospects when they drafted him 3rd overall, but he still turned into a solid player. Maybe not at the level that maybe people thought he would coming into the league, but he's still only 21 years old. That's the case in all of this. Like, Jabari Smith is still barely scratching the surface. Yes, he's in his 3rd year, and, there's been some things that look good, some things that have looked questionable, but Jabari Smith is another player that if the Rockets were to if they ever were to really try to trade for a disgruntled star, right, is that it's tons of potential there with him as well. Like again, turning him over the keys, giving him opportunities to sink or swim, those type of things. So it comes down to that as well. And I think overall, the Houston Rockets are a really important team to watch. As not even just at this trade deadline, could be at this trade deadline, but in the offseason as well. They're a really intriguing team to watch because depending on how the Houston Rockets season finishes, it could open them up to want to trade for that star and look at other teams, how their season finishes. If the Suns finish with a disappointing season, if the Bucks, despite them trying to turn their season around, if they finish with a disappointing season, hell, if even though I don't necessarily know if I trust Jimmy Butler to be the best thing for that Rockets team, do you really want Jimmy Butler and Dillon Brooks on the same team? It could be great for teams. It could be terrors for opposing teams. But those are questions you got to ask yourself. But overall, a lot of questions there. Let me know, as always, how you guys feel on everything down below. Make sure you're following the show at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. And I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video, probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.